Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are glad you made time to join us for this great conversation. I am glad to introduce our two speakers today. Nick Reed from the Proven Optics side. He is our Director of ITFM Workflows. And from ServiceNow, we have Benjamin James, who is the Director of Technology Workflows. Some of you may be familiar already with him and his team. But with that, keep it super short. Send it over to Nick and Benjamin to kick it off.
Great, thanks so much, Marissa. Hi everyone, like Marissa shared, my name is Nick Reed and I'm our Director of IT Finance Workflows. We're excited that you've joined us today to learn more how Proven Optics, a ServiceNow store application, is providing alternatives in the IT financial management and technology business management marketplace. This being my 8th year in the TBM space and have supported clients across all the different major solutions that are out there in the marketplace, over 65 different deployments that I've been able to be a part of and lead. The largest challenge that we're seeing is getting straight to value, and that has never been easier than with the ServiceNow platform, which is a great segue for my co-host Benjamin to introduce himself.
Thanks, Nick. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Benjamin James. I'm a Director of Application, Asset, and Portfolio Management for our financial services and technology, media, telecom verticals. Been with ServiceNow going on 9 years, based in New Orleans. One of the things I've been seeing across all the industries I support is companies are asking the same questions. Where are my technology assets, my business capabilities, and my organizational agility? Where do I have risk, whether it's end of life, end support, vulnerability, lack of controls? But this isn't just an ops issue, it's also a financial issue. And they need to understand how much I'm actually spending on my technology assets. What are those true costs of running my business services and my capabilities? And then where do we actually have opportunities to start to rationalize costs out of the organization? And we're seeing more and more that organizations are looking to extend their strategic platforms like ServiceNow to address these finance challenges, rather than continue to invest in point solutions. And Proven Optics is an awesome example of that, because not only are they built on ServiceNow, also one of our portfolio companies through ServiceNow Ventures, which is how we invest in best of breed innovative technologies that are going to add value to our own platform, workflows, and key markets. So yeah, Proven Optics is a natural fit to expand what we've already been doing in the enterprise and really bolster up what we can do for the financial management sector. So Nick, I'll give it back to you, and the floor is yours, sir.
Great, thank you, Benjamin. What we're going to focus on today is identifying the gaps in a lot of organizations' IT financial management practices. What are some of the common pitfalls and why some practices never get off the ground and are still even struggling to show some of those results out of the tool in a timely manner. We're then going to transition to how we're helping organizations get to great from a solution, deployment, as well as a cost perspective on the ServiceNow platform and with our applications. We'll then wrap up and discuss tactically, how do we actually get this done and move ahead and come out the other side with a valuable solution that's going to enable IT to run like a business. We'll start by identifying the common gaps we see in the market and why IT finance practices fail. And some of the key themes that we start to see are that failure to automate, failure to integrate, and failure to educate. When we think about this first one, failure for automation, it really links back to automating the actionable insight. This is what a lot of organizations are looking to get out of their IT financial management solution, where they want insights and decision levers to be on demand to help steer the ship of enterprise IT. This manifests as a repeatable, scalable process that rapidly gives quality information to leadership to answer questions in their monthly, quarterly, or business review meetings, like what platform should we invest in? Should we migrate this workload to the cloud or keep it on-prem? And how this decision will impact our year-end forecast, which really starts to lead us into the second common pitfall, which is integration. Now, yes, there are key data integrations of the source systems, such as the ERP, but this pitfall is focused on the integration into the business annual, quarterly, and monthly process. Many organizations get to the end of their deployment of the application and they ask themselves the question, so what, or now what? And the process that the software enables needs to be able to provide decision levers at the right time to the right stakeholders, so that way they can use this information to make better business decisions. Too many times we see organizations finish their deployment of the products and the application becomes shelfware because it's not part of the organization's core financial management practices and integrated with how the organization makes decisions. As we look to have this start to become bridged and addressed, customers and IT leaders' behavior can start to become reinforced as the tool set's able to provide predictable, accurate analytics that are able to actually help our customers make decisions and be able to save those expenses as we look at our technology landscape across the organization. And we start to communicate those expenses outward, which is where we get to the third point of the common failure, which is failure to educate. Failure to educate is where we struggle to be able to tell our end users how to use this new context and insight that the software application is creating for us. We all know how to read a chart, see what service is the most expensive from a bar graph, but when we sit down and make sure that our customers understand what they're and how they impact the business of IT, the IT costs and the IT cost drivers, that's really where the rubber meets the road. Everyone wants to be able to get to, which is being able to have transparency and accountability to the decisions and how they impact the cost of technology. This key concept is something that goes beyond the software, but is vitally important to the adoption and utilization of its outputs and its capabilities. So how do these themes start to manifest as day-to-day challenges for customers, CFO and finance teams, and the internal TBM team that they bring us every single day? Well, we see a number of those on the right-hand side of this slide, anywhere from the process is too manual, it's overly complicated, we don't really use it, or we don't really trust the data and the outputs, and we really don't understand where the maturity roadmap is and how this is going to grow as our business grows over time. And all of these are key elements that we hear every single day from our stakeholders about why they can't use the solution or can't use the data sets to actually make the business decisions. These reasons are why so many organizations look to transition from some of those different point solutions and look at an integrated platform solution, such as Proven Optics. We see 5 key reasons that organizations are looking to transition to Proven Optics from their point solutions. The first is a time to value perspective. Implementation periods can be increasingly long, where we've even had some customers show that they have not shown outputs from the tool set in over 3 years to their business partners. This not only creates a huge time to value issue, but also an adoption issue, where customers want to be able to begin using the application, typically within the same year that they buy the app, to be able to help finish out their fiscal year and start to have another tool in their tool belt as they look to start planning for their future fiscal periods. The second is cost. Point solutions like Apptio are very expensive from an implementation standpoint, from the point we just discussed, but also that they require specialized skill sets to implement. And resources that know the tool set inside and out are not always widely and readily available. This to us at Proven Optics is a key differentiator, as many customers already have the skill sets in-house to run and operate the tool set once they are in production, because they are already running and using ServiceNow today. The skill set to administer a Proven Optics application is no different than the skill set your system administrator already has to run the platform, just with some specific financial management lenses. This not only helps keep operating expenses low, but also helps with the cost of implementation, as there are thousands of certified ServiceNow implementation partners, and more of them are becoming Proven Optics certified every single day. Part of the cost element is the steep learning curve it takes to make the solution available. Very simply, the more similar the legacy solutions are to some of those harder, more rigid data structures that we've known from some of those legacy applications, they're not as user-friendly to interact with and update versus interacting with something like a low-code, no-code platform that allows for rapid configuration to have their feature sets and outputs displayed very quickly, but also being able to have that backend and that information documented very well, like the ServiceNow ecosystem is, where users are able to very quickly learn how to be able to make those configurations, make those adjustments, and make those changes within the application, so that way they're able to use the capability. These point solutions have unique coding approaches and processes and preset data structures that, if you don't already have staff on hand or on contract, are going to elongate that learning cycle. Complexity is also a huge issue. Organizations that have wildly complex models with hundreds of data points that take upwards of 16 to 24 hours to process a single fiscal period. And the data outputs do not create materially different decision levers for the business. This complexity not only creates monthly operational challenges for the IT finance teams, but also creates extensive education and training to be able to understand what the output is and how to use it. At Proven Optics, we focus on creating cost models that are going to enable you to make better business decisions, are aligned with your greater ServiceNow infrastructure and CSDM, and being able to have those come out of the box that really help you make decisions that we're able to now track and see across our different data sets in those results. And as we start to calculate those results and we start to get past that complexity, we're able to then, within relatively short order, execute and run our cost models and processes as well on platform. For some customers that are managing over $200 million a month in 15 minutes or less, as we're able to get that data onto the platform and start to execute against our cost model runs. This is a great area where Proven Optics reduces complexity, as ServiceNow is a key data source for many IT financial management and TBM point solutions. The data on platform never has to leave or be integrated to another source. This speeds up monthly processing and helps create an evergreen IT finance output, as data can be consumed and collected from the other modules on platform with ease. And probably the most important and most common reason we see is that the solution doesn't live up to the promise and the lifestyle that organizations are looking to have. Companies do not invest in IT financial management just because they have extra available funding. They want to be able to use the outputs to drive meaningful business decisions and outcomes, be able to hit their CFO go get it number that we get halfway through the year, or be able to create transparency and how they support their business partners. When they aren't achieved, or we don't provide the level of granularity and insight that a client is looking for, in conjunction with some of the above, we start to see frustration and doubt creep into the minds of the users, and asking the question, is this the right solution for me? And as IT expenses are growing year over year, Gartner is telling us it's 8.6% this year, we have to be ready to manage that investment and be able to be good stewards of those expenses. So when we think about how we can get to great and how we can help organizations achieve and implement IT financial management practices in that application, we're seeing a trend to moving towards platform solutions such as ServiceNow and Proven Optics for a couple of key reasons. First is Proven Optics is cost competitive, both on the licensing costs and the professional services to implement and operate the applications. We'll talk about it a little bit more later in the demonstration, but we are offering customers the ability that if they're using Apptio today, to cut their Apptio software subscription in half. And with the investment that organizations are already making in their ServiceNow platform, that base structure and the low-code, no-code capabilities that come out of the box with that platform, they're already in place for Proven Optics, and that allows us to deploy more rapidly. The reason behind that is, and what's important about it, is that Proven Optics applications live and reside on your existing ServiceNow platform to eliminate time spent on the data ETL from the external systems, and brings prescriptive models to bound the implementations. These key feature sets and processes apologize. These key feature sets and processes allow us to ensure rapid deployment and help customers not to have spiraling professional services engagements. The second way that we get to great is by introducing low levels of complexity. This comes from our implementation approach, but also being on an enterprise-grade low-code, no-code platform. Certified ServiceNow administrators can work on the applications and leverage the capabilities of the platform without any external ITFM experience required. Many times even, they're helping us further integrate and connect the Proven Optics applications to the greater ServiceNow environment, which brings us to our third point, which is being fully integrated. Being natively built on ServiceNow and having all of the user experience, data processing, and workflows all centralized within the common user interface that we have known to grow and love allows us to connect ServiceNow modules such as application portfolio management, strategic portfolio management, asset management, and the CMDB with ease. By connecting our processes to the native ServiceNow processes, we're seeing organizations start to adopt the ServiceNow platform to be not where they just do financial management, but being able to create a system of insight and action. Let me take you through an example of how that strategy starts to play out in a deployment within the system. What we are seeing here is our business of IT framework. This framework is a common way that we can create connections with our products and ServiceNow's products to really manage an end-to-end process for a customer and allow them to run IT like a business. While using the common capabilities of the platform, we were able to use strategic portfolio management to start tracking our goals, strategies, and ultimately our roadmaps that we had for the future, and being able to then start to align those to different applications that are across our portfolio and begin gathering context and information to help us build out their risk profile and performance metrics in tandem with cost modeling. This is where Proven Optics comes in as able to supplement from a total cost of ownership perspective and cost distribution capability for the platform. As this is not something that is being invested in, we're able to now come be that total cost of ownership solution. So when we see this extension of cost modeling capability, being able to stand up budgeting and investment management, what this allows us to then do is as we bring together data points within our SPM, our APM, and our cost model modules, we can now start to memorialize that decision. When we decide to sunset a product, when we decide to get off a particular platform, or if we decide to now start to invest in a new platform, we can capture that decision financially and start to be able to have that become part of our run rate, remove it from our run rate, and ultimately see that decision then start to flow through as we then start to update our roadmaps and the way we're looking ahead for the next fiscal year. This is just one of the examples of how Proven Optics together with ServiceNow can enable organizations to really run their business on the platform, not just for ticketing. How we ultimately get there and how we ultimately help land the plane. This is our approach for implementation. What we see is our standard processes that we go through to help customers get started in as little as 16 to 20 weeks. And based upon your current IT financial management practice, there might even be reduced transition efforts to have that be accelerated. Where we know the financial data, we know where it's at. We know what systems it's coming from in the fields that we need from that data set. We also know what information we are able to bring in and are pulling in from an allocation perspective, how we want to distribute costs, and being able to then also see who are our customers that we want to be able to allocate with and what are the services that they're leveraging. Being able to use a lot of the heavy lift and the work that's already being done as part of your practice and deployment, and transitioning that into our approach for implementing allows us to get customers up and running quickly, not only to meet oftentimes their parity requirements that many customers ask for, but also enhance the capability where there are gaps in the original solution. What we are finding is the flexibility that's offered as the low-code, no-code platform of ServiceNow allows us to close some of those gaps pretty quickly and not pour anything in concrete. So as customers continue to mature their cost model, allocation data sets, and ultimately their IT financial management practice, they are able to modify and continue to iterate on their modeling, budgeting, and cost recovery capabilities. As we look ahead, an offering that we want to be able to make to the attendees, but also to the market, is that we're offering to replace your Apptio licensing and being able to offer that as a 50% discount. What we're looking at and what we're trying to achieve is organizations, there's a lot of uncertainty that's out there through different mergers and acquisitions activity, uncertainty on the roadmap, and a hyper focus on FinOps. There's a lot of organizations that are looking for what is that alternative and starting to look at alternatives that are on a common platform that they already have in-house today and a platform that they already trust. And so at the core of what Proven Optics is trying to offer for those customers, being able to cut your Apptio bill in half. With that, Marissa, I know I saw a couple of questions starting to come through as we were going through the presentation. Want to be able to take a moment and start to address those.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Benjamin.
I was going to say, yeah, actually, I had a question that I don't know if it came from the audience, but it came from myself. As you were kind of going through the 3 reasons that ITFM fails, what would you say is probably the most underappreciated or overlooked of those 3 reasons by customers?
I would say it's the ability to integrate into your business process. A lot of times what we see organizations is as they stand up the tool set, we're still being able to take those data sets off platform out of the tool set and creating PowerPoints and other visualizations right from that data and information. And what we see a lot of times for groups that have successfully implemented a tool set, and not only the tool set, but built the practice around it, is that transitioning that ability to have the actual data set in the views and visuals that we create out of the platform be how we drive those CIO level meetings. Being able to have that information in the tool set that's drillable, reportable, and so that way we can get down the root cause analysis. Organizations that take whatever level of maturity of TBM and be able to bring it into a capability, it's a key outcome, has to be part of how the organization makes decisions today.
Yeah, it makes sense. The more we can get people with the data into the platform, we can get everybody singing from the same song sheet, the faster and the smoother the business is going to run. So thank you for the answer.
Yep, and some of the outcomes we see from that, we have customers that are able, within the first 90 days, able to save $1 million on just expenses that they're able to find within the cost model, being able to do expense reduction efforts, or as they finish their fiscal year, being able to finish their fiscal year within 0.01% of their planned forecast. And so there's a lot of good attributes there that as we really not only leverage the tool to manage the data, but we start to now lift the business process into the tool set, we start to really get some of those leading edge outcomes.
That's a really great question and a really great answer that tees up the 3 questions that I have on my end. So the first question, Nick and Benjamin, asks, what ServiceNow modules do I need turned on for Proven Optics to work?
So there's 2 parts to this question. The first part is, as long as the platform is turned on within your organization, you have what is needed to turn on Proven Optics. Now, as we look at what data sets and what other elements we need, having some of those modules that I talked about, like CMDB, SPM, APM, are great places for being able to have that better together story, where Proven Optics is able to bring the price to the equation, and a lot of the different attributes on ServiceNow can start to bring the performance and risk. So we can tie those 3 attributes together in a single pane of glass.
Yeah, I'd say the simple answer there is, we can meet you where you're at. So, regardless of what modules you're using with ServiceNow, there's some value that Proven Optics can layer on. And then, of course, over time, we start to mature that based on the business need and drivers.
Great. If anyone has an added layer to that question or anything they'd like to add, please drop your comments in the chat. We have a team that's monitoring the chat as well. If you want to add any additional thoughts or questions to what we're asking. So 2 more questions. I think they kind of follow each other here. The next one is, does Proven Optics do full chargeback?
Yes, we do. And we have two applications that help organizations do that. Both an invoicing and chargeback application that works alongside of our cost model, takes a lot of the cost model outputs and the showback results that we're creating and then charges for them. We also have a billing product that allows us to take vendor bills, telecom bills, cloud bills, and we're able to repackage an invoice for those and charge those back to our customers, both internally and externally to IT.
Terrific. The last question I have here reads, what are the most common ServiceNow modules that are integrated to Proven Optics?
We see a lot of organizations connect in their CMDB, application portfolio management, and strategic portfolio management. A lot of these modules are fantastic and have a lot of good data around what are the projects we have, what are the applications that are a part of our environment, and the CMDB being a great way to be able to create those relationships and cost allocation capabilities. All of these data sets being on the ServiceNow platform, natively integrate those into our cost modeling process. So we're not only able to get our financial transparency goals, but now we can start to link those finances and the financial outcomes back into those operational views around application and project management.
And Nick, it's up for some to throw one more curveball at you. So what about customers looking to add asset management into the mix as well? Not just software and hardware, but also thinking enterprise assets, not IT, but those very big capital expenditures that could be out there. What additional value does that add?
Sure. So asset management and software asset management, I think one of the biggest areas when we think about our tool set that we offer, that we do alongside the SAM and HAM products, is that cost of idle capacity, which is the where we want to start to look at for right sizing IT costs. We all know that a SAP license is more than just SAP. It's the infrastructure behind it. It's the development hours there. And so as we start to bring in who is using SAP and who's managing that license usage, when you combine that with your cost data, you can see how much capacity you have on your individual service. And that cost of idle capacity is where CIOs want to go to start to create those cost reduction efforts. But even as we grow past just IT assets and we look at enterprise assets, we have several organizations we're working with, both the operations team as well as the CFO team, because we have our roots in IT, but IT at the end of the day is just one of the more complex shared services that are out there. We're able to do total cost of ownership and cost modeling and chargeback for fleet services, office square footage, insurance, any of those different attributes. So I know that there's many use cases that ServiceNow looks at is how do we manage things that are not IT, right? And Proven Optics is able to meet that level of maturity with our financial management plugins.
Thank you for that. Is there any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions come up in the chat, but we wanted to turn it over to our audience, see if anything else came up outside of those three questions that were sent.
Hi, Marissa. Just jumping in here. We did get one question that I saw come in. Nick Polinak wants to know, how long does that 50% discount last? Is it the first year only or indefinitely?
It's a great conversation to have with a Proven Optics team. So I think the time bound on this is for the first year, and I think that there's opportunities to talk about what does that look like from an ongoing contract perspective. So definitely worth a conversation, and likely will extend out from the base year.
Well said. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.